We are a river city, a bold city, the First Coast, a place to create and to belong. Here, the sun shines a little brighter, and so do the people. We share a love for our region, a pride for Jacks, and a passion for the beautiful game, dedicated to giving everyone a sporting chance. Together, we will elevate soccer and sport in our community by lifting every voice. We are Sporting Club Jacksonville. We are Sporting Jacks.
Hello and welcome into the Sporting Jacks Report. Along with Muaricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Coming up, we're going to dig into the USL Championship playoffs that got underway last week. We're now down to the final 8 teams who will advance and become the final 4 teams in the USL Championship. A closer look. Plus, the hottest player in the USL Championship has back-to-back hat tricks, how he's getting it done for a first-year organization. And we hear from a defending state champion in the high school level as part of our youth soccer spotlight. But, Mauricio, let's start with the USL Championship playoffs. We have seen throughout the course of this season some teams really rising to the occasion, but now it's all on the line.
It really is, and there's some really good storylines. You look at Tampa Bay Rowdies, everything they went through the storm, and they lost really the last 3 to 4 games of the regular season, and they get on the road in Detroit City, and they get an upset. Now they got another test with Battery, but there's so many good storylines that are happening within the season. But the quality of the play on the field is fantastic, and if anyone tunes in now, it's a really good time to see the caliber of the USL.
We had some excellent drama as well. Usually we bring you our game of the week. This is instead going to be our games of the week. We're going to start with 2 that we're going to put a lot of focus on. Then we'll get you highlights from all the other playoff games. Let's start in Louisville, where Lou City, best team in the regular season, taking on North Carolina FC, a team that has secured a playoff spot on the final day of the regular year. 10th minute, NCFC with a corner kick. Michael Maldonado sends it in, and Olex Anderson pokes it in to give North Carolina the early lead.
Well, remember, North Carolina is a League One team that's got promoted into the championship. So to go on the road against the best team in the league and to go up 1-0, they got to be feeling pretty good at this point.
10 minutes later, Louisville trying to equalize, and this is a pretty simple sequence, but is executed so well. Taylor Davila sets up Amadou Dia to make it 1-1.
So this is a team that can score for so many different players. Davila, not even a player that actually gets on the scoreboard a whole lot. But they can score from set pieces, dead balls. And you just know that at this point they're coming back into this game.
Well, this was a very pretty goal there, and you take another look at this service in from Davila, right on the money. The smoke from the flares that were set off after that goal still floating in the air just 3 minutes later when Lou City strikes again. Look how quickly they transition into the attack. Adrian Perez to Davila, who puts it home to put the home team up 2-1. Second half now, and this is great work in the open field and some wonderful passing. Ray Serrano to Perez right here. Oh, this is well done. The back post run, they go forward so well. Lou City up 3-1 at this point.
Well, you mentioned they get forward so quickly. The minute they get on the break, it feels like every single player want to get on the scoreboard. They want to attack the box. You see here, beautiful entry ball, and on the back post, it looks like it's easy. How is he a mark? There's so much movement inside the box.
North Carolina desperately trying to keep the season alive. 3 minutes into stoppage time off a set piece. Maldonado puts one on a tee for Bryce Washington, but it's too little too late. Lou City advances with a 3-2 win. Let's pick up Detroit City taking on the Tampa Bay Rowdies in Motown, where Detroit City hosting a team in the Rowdies that have had to play away from their home stadium a lot, but they showed some resilience. 19th minute, Leo Fernandez on the corner. Cal Jennings rises and nods it in. Rowdies up 1-0.
Well, Cal Jennings is one of the best goal scorers in the league. Gets that near post run, flick, really difficult to defend, and to be up on the road.
Remained 1-0 till the second half. Detroit City with a free kick from way over near the sideline. Not a dangerous spot, right? Think again. This one deflected in by Tampa Bay. It's an own goal, and we're level at 1.
When this is kind of ball core, you don't really actually hit it to anybody. You just want to put in that space and get a little deflection, whether it's your team deflection or somebody else's, it doesn't matter.
No more goals to regulation and through extra time. We went to penalties. Rowdies up 2-1. Detroit needs this or else Tampa can win it on the next kick. And Elvis Amo hits the crossbar. Heartbreak for Detroit, and it sets up Lewis Hilton for the Rowdies, and the Englishman, who had scored 1 goal all year, sends the Rowdies on to the next round. What a finish in Detroit.
Yeah, and you feel bad for the Detroit City fans. It's a packed house, a wonderful atmosphere, but you do feel good about the Tampa Bay Rowdies going on the road. As you mentioned, they've been displaced because of the Hurricanes. So for them to get that win, it's a really good story.
Yeah, and the 6 seeds getting the job done, that's pretty impressive to be sure, to see what happened in that particular game. That wasn't the only bit of drama in the USL Championship playoffs. Let's take you around some of the other action this past week in the USL Championship playoffs. And we start with Vegas, where the Lights were playing in the first playoff game in club history, hosting Sacramento Republic, scoreless into regulations. We had to go to PKs. Luis Fernandez scores to make it 2-2 on PKs, and then Valentin Noel sends Vegas through to the next round. Charleston Battery, the number 2 seed in the East, hosting the Pittsburgh Riverhounds at Patriots Point, 8th minute. Nick Markanek, the single-season record goal scorer, puts it in. Charleston wins it 1-0. Number 2 seed in the West, Colorado Springs, hosting the Oakland Roots. Switchbacks in the dark jerseys, and watch this interplay by Colorado Springs. Jairo Henriquez operating in the middle, great passing there. He gets it back. Colorado Springs wins it 2-0. Memphis 901 hosting Orange County. Memphis played the last 12 minutes of regulation and all of extra time, a man down. It remained 0-0 until Orange County goes short and Dylan Powers with a header. Memphis advances with a 1-0 win in extra time. Indy 11 hosting first-year club Rhode Island FC. J.J. Williams already with a brace after he scored 3 in the regular season finale. He gets on the end of this one, and it's in a hat trick for Williams. More on him in a moment. Rhode Island earns the first road win in their first ever playoff game, 3-2, the final. Finally, New Mexico United, the top seed in the West, hosting the defending champions Phoenix Rising. Level at 1 in the 85th minute till Avion Flanagan gets on the run. He crosses to the back post where Mokwele Akala puts it away. New Mexico eliminates the defending champs 2-1, the final. So here is how the playoff bracket now looks. Both 6 seeds, Mauricio, get a win in that first round, and your pick to win it all, Las Vegas, still alive.
They are alive, and they got through a Sac Republic team that's really, really good, and they went all the way to PKs. What first round tells me, Cole, is that there's really no guarantees. Like, we make picks out of fun and what we predicted to happen, but there are no guarantees. Every team went down to the wire outside of the Oakland and Carolina and Colorado game. Every game was decided by 1 goal. There's such difficult games, and it's anybody's playoff right now.
Which one of these matchups intrigues you the most for this weekend?
Yeah, I love Carolina against Orange County. I think, Colorado against Orange County. I think the switchbacks are so good going forward. They can attack. You can see that on the highlights. The combination play inside the box. And Orange County is a team that got into the playoffs, but is really not at their strongest. They got a great result against Memphis on the road, but I think Colorado switchbacks, they're just a fun team to watch.
The one that draws my eye is the Tampa Bay Charleston. That's a Sunday game, 3 o'clock. And the 2 closest rivals in the USL Championship to Jacksonville. So if fans want to take a look, that'd be a good one to follow on ESPN+.
It really is. And Charleston, about it, the last 2 years, they've been at the cream of the crop in the league. And we see what the Rowdies have done. Really 2 good franchises. They've done really well the last couple of years. And what a good matchup of 2 rosters that have a lot of talent to show for it. We talk about, Markanek going over to La Liga 2 next year. So good opportunity to see him play in person as well.
All right, let's turn the corner now to Mauricio's corner, where you want to put the spotlight on a guy who has been the hottest player in the league. And we just saw J.J. Williams back-to-back games with hat tricks. How is he doing it?
He's doing it different ways. I think that's the important thing. Interesting enough, Cole, leading into he dealt with a lot of injuries going into the season. 4 goals in a regular season, up to the point where he decided to unlock his goal scoring. He's got 6 goals in 2 games. Pretty impressive. But you can see here on the highlights, JJ can really score from anywhere. Now, you expect a goal scorer to score from PKs, but he scores in different ways. So this is into the playoffs. This is the second game of the last game of the season. He's a right-footed player, but he's really ambidextrous. If you find JJ there in yellow in the middle of the screen, running off the ball and getting where goal scorers need to get to, inside the frame of the goal, can he get in, get a little deflection? He's a big boy. He's got a good, strong body, but he can score from anywhere. And here's where you expect him: a 6'2" forward to get in with his head. So he can score on the ground. Now he's making runs in behind. And beautiful little flick. Keeper comes out. He's got this in his back. So he's got this finesse to go along with the power. And you see him once again, one-on-one with the keeper. Now he's got the power, he's got the speed to kind of get him beyond. So he's a player that can score from any type of way. He's really dangerous.
Yeah, and he got it done against Miami there at the end of the season, a team that had the worst record in the league, and then got it done in the playoffs. So it doesn't matter the opposition. He's finding ways to score right now.
When we talk about what's important going to the playoffs, is being hot, is being on form. If you can get a guy that was dormant most of the season because of injury reasons, but remember, they went out to get him from the Rowdies last year. He had a really good year, and he was supposed to be one of their top goal scorers. Didn't get a lot of goals. That's why they tied a lot of games, but it's a good time for JJ to be getting hot right now.
He is red hot at the moment. All right, an update for you in the postseason in college soccer. Locally on Monday, UNF's men's team will play in the A-Sun tournament. That will be a home game against either Florida Gulf Coast or Bellarmine, who both play tonight. Both JU and UNF's women's teams were knocked out of the conference tournament last week, both by Eastern Kentucky in consecutive games, so their seasons are done. Hey, Sporting Jacks will be at Porch Fest next Saturday, November the 9th, coming up this weekend, one of the great neighborhood events in town. The event takes place in Springfield, featuring bands, artists, foods, and drink, and a great chance to mingle with neighbors. We look forward to being a part of the event this year. And remember, you can become a member of Sporting Jacks. It's absolutely free. Just go to sportingjacks.com to sign up. You'll get discounts on club merchandise, invitations to VIP events, entries into contests for prizes and experiences, and receive the Sporting Jacks newsletter. Plus, you can put your deposit down for season tickets for the Sporting Jacks men's and women's teams and receive an exclusive Sporting Jacks founding member pin. Just go to sportingjacks.com to become a member. Coming up, we hear from Becky Burleigh, get her thoughts on leadership and what has to happen next for teams around both leagues, starting to put together their sporting directors, technical directors, and head coaches. What Becky thinks about the path to leadership straight ahead here on the Sporting Jacks Report. You can catch the USL Championship playoffs on ESPN Plus, and then the finals will be seen nationwide on network television. CBS carries the finals on Saturday, November the 23rd. Who will play for the hardware? We'll know in just a couple of weeks. Time now for USL Super League highlights. All these games can be seen on Peacock. We start with Halloween in Brooklyn. Brooklyn FC hosting Spokane Zephyr, 14th minute. The takeaway by Samantha Kroger. She leaves it for Luana Gravius, who puts it away. What a trick there. Brooklyn gets the treat, 1-0. Dallas Trinity hosting Fort Lauderdale United. Scoreless in the 87th minute until this long ball by Dallas creates an opportunity. First timer by Sierra Hinson is saved by Madison White, but 17-year-old Celie Strawn is there for the rebound. Dallas gets the 1-0 win at home. Tampa Bay Sun hosting Lexington SC. Sun had not won a game at home this season, but a brace by Cecile Nielsen and this long-range rocket by Natasha Flint gives Tampa the victory 3-1. Look at this shot. Plenty from the home crowd to celebrate. Finally, DC Power hosting Carolina Ascent. Mia Corbin with a free kick for Carolina. Nothing comes of it, but a handball is called in the box. That means it's a PK, and Renee Guillon steps up to take it, and she would bury it. Carolina with 3 points away. Here she goes. Kind of spoiler alert, she's going to make this one, everybody. 1-0 Carolina with the victory. They get 3 points on the road. Take a look at the USL Super League standings after the weekend's activity. Carolina Ascent after that road win, and Brooklyn FC level on points, 20 points apiece. Carolina with a game in hand there. But you look at Dallas in pretty good shape with 3 games in hand on Brooklyn with 13 points, and then Tampa in 4th for the time being. Remember, they'll play first half of the season through December and then pick it back up in February. We now welcome in Becky Burleigh. USL Super League teams joining the future here in the next couple of years are starting to look at technical directors and coaches and so forth. Becky, what's important in finding the right coach as well as the right person for the job?
Well, you have hit upon probably one of the most important things in any organization, the hiring process. And, I don't know, I think it's an art, not necessarily a science. But I do think, the important part of when you're coaching pro it's a very different game than coaching amateur. And when I say amateur, I mean college in that too, even though college feels like it's moving towards pro. But I just think it's a different mindset in terms of the power dynamic with the players, the level, all of it. And so understanding someone that can take on the power dynamic and not have any kind of feeling about that, meaning sometimes the players have more power than the coaches in these situations. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you utilize that to your best way. But I think in terms of what you should be looking for, certainly somebody who fits the culture of your organization. That's number one. And then from a game model standpoint, I think it's very important for what the organization wants to be able to exhibit on the field that this person has experience with having demonstrated that in their previous coaching.
Well, Becky, one of the biggest things for both sides is understanding goals and timelines. But we know sometimes those goals imposed, they move in the process.
No, it's a great point. And the one thing that's a constant in that process is the ownership. So getting ownership alignment with the people that are going to be hired is really important. But I think also that when you're starting a new program, you have to realize that for some time, the coach and the technical staff could potentially be the face of the organization for a while until you fill out your roster. And being that ambassador, being that person who can interact in the community and generate excitement is a really important part of it.
Becky, I'm always fascinated by the kinds of questions that get asked in interviews at a very high level. What do you remember about the kinds of questions you were asked when you interviewed for the job at Florida?
That's an interesting question because I actually had 2 interviews at Florida. I had one with a whole bunch of people, like a committee, coaches, administrators, and then I had to come back for a second interview with Jeremy. It's such an interesting process because I feel like for the candidate, the process is just as much of you vetting to see if that's the environment that's going to fit you as it is the other way around. And I think in terms of questions, it's like Jeremy's main focus was, are you ready to join a program that we want to be competitive right from the start? And not from a pressure standpoint, but more from, hey, we're going to resource this program in a way to make it competitive. Are you prepared to step into the spotlight with that?
And it obviously worked very well. Becky, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week. All right, we've seen great response from fans wanting to reserve their season tickets for Sporting Jacks, and you can too. Just go to sportingjacks.com to put your deposits down. $25 reserves your space for the men's or women's teams, and if you want to reserve for both, it's just $40. Go to sportingjacks.com to save your seat for pro soccer in Jacksonville. Still to come, our youth soccer spotlight. We check in on a defending champion. Can Creekside go back-to-back? That's straight ahead as the Sporting Jacks report rolls on. Sporting Jacks will be unveiling the official kit in the months to come, but already you can get your own Sporting Jacks official merchandise, from t-shirts and hats to sweatshirts and, of course, the scarf. You can find Sporting Jacks official merchandise at sportingjacks.com, at our official team store on Phillips Highway, and at We Got Soccer. Time now for our youth soccer spotlight, brought to you by the Bearded Pig Barbecue. And today we're taking a closer look at the defending state champs from Creekside. The Knights will have their bullseye on their back this year after winning a title a year ago. But that is not a problem for the girls, who are ready to show that they can repeat.
We're all just ready to get back into it. We want to win another state title. Our goals are the same, so we're all just trying to bring the same energy as last year.
Everyone is just excited to be practicing together again because we know what we're capable of. And it's always fun, when you can come play with your high school friends that aren't in the same grade as you and you don't see them all the time. So I feel like we're all excited. The energy is really good, and we're super confident right now.
We work every day. We're going to start working super, super hard as the season comes along, and we're not going to take days off and not take any practices for granted. So I think that'll help a lot.
The Knights are under a new but familiar head coach this season. Lexi Messick takes over for Joe Soto. She's been a part of the coaching staff and has led many of these girls before.
We had Lexi coach us our freshman year, and last year when it came to big games, when Coach Joe would get red carded out the game, and she definitely stepped up as the head coach role. And I feel like everyone is kind of eased down. We're definitely more calm. We know that it's not going to be as strict. It's still going to be fun. We're still going to work hard. But we all love her, and we've had her. We know how she coaches, and we're all really excited to have her as our coach this year.
As always, Creekside will look to make a statement. There are several key games on the schedule, including a defending state champ, Ponte Vedra, as well as meetings with Mandarin, Decoy Creek, and Atlantic Coast in district play. But there is one team on the schedule every Creekside player looks forward to.
Bartram! But we love them. We love
yes.
Bartram. We love Bartram, but when it comes to the field.
Always a great rivalry in every sport between Creekside and Bartram. Creekside started the season with a 1-1 draw against Bishop Kenny. After 2 road games, they'll be back at home on November the 18th against Wolfson. Be sure to join us every Tuesday night at 6 at 1010XL for the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour. It's on the AM side, 1010 AM. You can also listen online or on demand at 1010XL.com. Still to come, we look ahead to a big Premier League matchup. That's next as the Sporting Jacks report rolls on. You can watch the Sporting Jacks report every weekend on First Coast News. You can catch it on Sundays for the next 3 weeks. And also, when we return, we'll be back at the noon start on Saturdays as well. All right, time now to take a closer look at what's happening with the Premier League. Coming up in just minutes on USA, it's Brighton hosting Manchester City. Last week, Man City lost for the first time all season, and they find themselves looking up at Liverpool in the table. Brighton lost to Liverpool last week and entered the weekend in 8th place. Mount, you'd expect City to bounce back.
You would expect so, but Brighton is a team that nobody wants to face. They scared Liverpool at Anfield last week. They went up a goal. Liverpool had to come back into that game. Obviously, having an Anfield crowd, the 12 man helps them. If Brighton goes up against City, they're gonna shake a little bit, and Brighton has the capacity to do that. What a great team! How they put that structure together. But City, championship caliber team, Pep Guardiola, I guarantee you, hardest week of work that they've had in a really long time.
Well, I will also say that this is a point of the year where Champions League games start to pile up. You get a lot of extra games for teams that are playing in the Champions League, like Man City, like Aston Villa, like Liverpool, Arsenal. We're starting to see a little bit of an impact from time to time in terms of player usage and how these deep teams are starting to get pressed a little bit.
Absolutely, and now they got to start forecasting into the Christmas time as well, right? So now they're about a month and a half away from that really heavy packed season, Boxing Day and everything that they kind of talk about. So how are they going to manage not just the usage already, the load, but start forecasting a little bit of what they have to forecast kind of going forward? So it'll be interesting. Now, most of these teams have depth. You see City has a lot of depth. Liverpool has a lot of depth. But it's an opportunity for teams like Brighton to kind of come in and get a point.
I will also point out that traditionally, at least over the last 15 or 20 years, the table 10 weeks in looks very much like it does at the end of the year. So you have a team like Nottingham Forest, maybe a surprise team in the Premier League this year. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Sporting Jacks Report. We'll talk to you again next week. For Mauricio Ruiz and Becky Burleigh, I'm Cole Pepper. Have a great one.